We are back. Sam Seder and Vigeland. Fun half of the Majority Report. Anarchy Fursuit. Let's go Worcester. On Tuesday night, the city council in Worcester, Mass. I heard about this, like partially. Voted to become a sanctuary city for transgender and gender diverse people. There's footage of queer activists speaking at the Worcester City Council meeting in support of the resolution. They started singing Chappelle Roan songs. It was so amazing.
That's amazing.
And isn't Worcester where like the first Valentine's Day card or something?
That's correct.
Was originated?
Yes. Did you hear me say that today?
I did, but I saw it, I think, on an AP newsletter. There was an anniversary thing.
Oh.
They do like a this day in history.
Yes,
and it was
I thought you were playing
1874.
dumb. He said that like 15 times.
There's so many things that I can.
You can remember like who the state rep in Montana is in some obscure district, but like not.
It's just the detritus in my mind. Some comes, some goes away.
Yeah.
This is, I think it was in 1840 something. Where was it? Esther Howland in 1847 received an English Valentine from one of her father's business associates, and that inspired her career. She experimented with designs of her own and persuaded her father to order fancy papers, lace, and trimmings from his suppliers in England and Germany. And she made the first card, and in, look at that. In 1879, when she joined a partnership with Edward Taft, forming the New England Valentine Company, located on Main Street. Yep. There you go, in
That's
Worcester.
sweet.
Yep. Also, the birth control pill invented in Worcester.
That's
Oh,
two good developments.
not wholly unrelated, maybe. I don't know. Not inconceivable that at various times people could have looked around Worcester and said, "We need a birth control pill." I don't know what to tell you about this. This is one of the most bizarre things I could have ever imagined seeing, and disturbing things. As you know, RFK Jr. was confirmed yesterday by the Senate to chair the HHS, to be secretary of the HHS. It's a huge, sprawling agency.
80,000 employees, I think.
80,000 employees. Supposedly, his agenda is to make America healthy again. He wants the NIH to focus less on sort of acute diseases and more on holistic health issues. Maybe they will start to sell crystals. I'm not sure exactly what the NIH will do. But
colloidal silver in all of our water supply. We'll look nice. We'll be shiny looking.
Here is I saw a video of Kennedy, maybe about 10 years ago that somebody had put on there.
Right.
And it really is, his muscle mass has increased dramatically since the testosterone replacement therapy, which again, I've made it clear. Well, I feel like I'm 5-7 years out from that. I'll do it. But let's be clear, I'm going to be augmented.
Yes.
You're going to look at me videos of me today, and like, oh, look at Sam's arms. Like he looks like a
wacky inflatable tube
Ernie
man.
and Bert arms.
Oh.
And then in 7 or 8 years, I'm going to start my testosterone replacement therapy. And the thing is, once you start, you can't stop.
Yeah. He has not stopped.
No. But if you stop for like a week or two, you have no testosterone.
Yes.
Because it's literally
replacing it.
It replaces it. Your body stops producing any of it, and then you just turn into this weepy mess. So, and then you'll see me, and eventually I'll every now and then I'll be on Twitter, and you'll see I'm doing there's Sam doing. Why is he doing like 20 push-ups on his Twitter feed?
Sam's going to be a Muscle Beach bench pressing in jeans.
In the meantime, Here is Kennedy saying that God delivered Donald Trump. Just go back a little bit.
For 20 years, I've gotten up every morning on my knees and prayed that God would put me in a position where I can end the childhood chronic disease epidemic in this country. On August 23rd of last year, God sent me President Trump. And he gave me he's now given me, he's kept every promise that he's made to me.
That's
He's
important.
kept his word in every account and gone way beyond it. I'm so grateful to you, Mr. President. A lot of people told me that I couldn't trust President Trump, that I better get it in writing. And we did a handshake, and everything that he told me he was going to do, he has done. And I'm so grateful to him, and I've told you before, I genuinely believe that you are a pivotal historical figure, and you are going to transform this country.
I mean,
That last part may be true.
he's definitely a historic figure.
And there may be a transformation, but it is the complete assault on all of the agencies that 20 years ago, before you started to pray on such a regular basis, you thought were important to protect the citizens of the United States, protect the commons. And that's where we are.
I mean, the guy, I just was going through some of his most outrageous claims this morning, just because there's so many to choose from. Like, I mean, he claimed COVID was a Chinese bioweapon genetically engineered not to affect Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese people in that private donor meeting that was recorded. But like the stuff about
That was all very, very much about protecting Chinese restaurants
yes,
on Christmas.
I mean, I'm sure it had that effect. But the stuff about like HIV and AIDS is really disturbing to me. Again, I've said this before, but I had a family member who passed away from AIDS, and like he claims for over 100 pages in his book. I haven't read it, but this is according to the New York Times, and they have direct quotes, which I looked up, that essentially HIV is not the cause of AIDS, is what he posits. He says that in his book, this is the Times writes, the real Anthony Fauci, Mr. Kennedy revives debunked canards about HIV, like the idea that it is a harmless passenger virus, and that gay men's promiscuity and use of recreational drugs and even antiretroviral drugs like AZT were the real cause of AIDS, while using his I'm just asking questions strategy to allow him to deny that he's an AIDS denialist himself. The quote is that AIDS was caused in part by, quote, heavy recreational drug use in gay men and drug addicts. Now, RFK Jr. has like a diary that was leaked about his sexual exploits. He is known to be extremely slutty and promiscuous, and also was a former heroin addict who said that it made him smarter in school. So the idea that he's reviving Reagan-era style homophobic conspiracism about HIV and AIDS is astounding to me. That's the person that just got confirmed to be Health and Human Services Secretary.
I take issue with the slutty comment. I don't think that we should be kink shaming. The point is that he certainly is not one to be judgmental about other people's number of partners.
Well, I said it for emphasis, but sure. I mean, fair enough.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sorry if
Everything
I offended
else
you.
Well, no, I'm just standing up for those people who, it's fine. And
Of course it's fine, but don't
he
say
did this while he was
promiscuity.
married to somebody, and that's more problematic, certainly to his late ex-wife. Here is Kennedy, who on his campaign trail was like, I know exactly who to fire and who to hire to fix everything at all of these agencies.
You have a list of people that you already know need to be removed and quickly?
I have a list in my head, and you know, we have a generic list of the kind of people that, you know, if you've been involved in good science, you got nothing to worry about. If you care about public health, you got nothing to worry about. If you're in there working for the pharmaceutical industry, then I'd say you should move out and work for the pharmaceutical industry.
Oh, why not? Just make it official. Today, Senator, you have a list.
Yeah. Again, his definition of people who are working with one of the people that he have been relentless in attacking is Peter Hotez, who is literally the pharmaceutical industry's worst nightmare, making vaccinations that have not been commodified and instead have been delivered to literally millions upon millions of people around the globe at virtually at low to no cost. So, I mean, we'll see. But here is Mitch McConnell. Here's Donald Trump reacting to Mitch McConnell not voting for RFK. Now, let me just say, literally, a pox on all three of these people. On RFK for his anti-vaccination sentiments and what it could lead to in terms of, like, you know, you see in a preview of this down in that Texas county where anti-vaxxers have refused to get their kids the measles vaccine. A pox on Mitch McConnell for being as responsible as any individual, I should say, in the country for Donald Trump's term. He was someone who could have theoretically hampered Trump's return to office or his ascension in the first place, but refused to do so because it's too delectable to get 250 Trump judges on the federal judiciary and get the Supreme Court for a generation. And then when he had the opportunity on January 6th, he took the opportunity to finally speak out against Trump. And then within like 5 days, he was done with that. And then lastly, a pox on Donald Trump. I hope he's the first one to get the bird flu. That now, because the CDC is completely shut down, and all the authorities who would actually deploy a national strategy to stopping the bird flu from traveling around and having the opportunity to mutate, I hope he's one of the first to get it. I don't know how that would be, but maybe the second to get it. I don't want to, you don't
need to be choosy,
okay,
right?
Here we go.
Mitch endorsed me, right?
Well, he did.
You think that was easy? What?
He had polio, obviously, and his.
I don't know anything about he had polio. He had polio.
Are you doubting that he had polio?
I have no idea if he had polio. All I can tell you about him is that he shouldn't have been leader. He knows that. He voted against Bobby. He votes against almost everything now. He's a very bitter guy, and we have a very strong party. And he's almost not even really a very powerful member. I'd say he's not he's lost his power. And it's affected his vote. And, it's one of those things. But in the meantime, Bobby did great, got more votes than anybody thought. And I think he's going to do phenomenally, just phenomenally in that position. Mitch endorsed me, right?
Yeah.
Probably. How would you know if he had polio? How would you know? Were you guys hanging down, wherever Mitch was? I guess he had it as an adult, right? A young adult, Mitch McConnell?
No, he had it as a kid.
Or he had it as a kid?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Someone maybe corrected me on that, or I'd said it the reverse, so I was second guessing myself. Either way, that's his go-to. He just doesn't know. That's what he'll say.
I don't know.
I mean, he didn't know if Obama was born in the United States, and he'll never know. So let's just keep asking questions.
How could I tell?
Yeah, in one debate moment, he brought up something about Biden's kids, and Biden got exercised because obviously he was mentioning Bo.
It's the one thing he cares about.
In the umbrella turban. Trump was just like, oh, I don't know anything about Bo. I'm like, it's always like if he hits and touches a nerve and he doesn't want to deal with it, he's just like, I don't know anything about it.
Right. Or no, it's a fact that he doesn't want to deal with either, right? He'd rather go with the narrative that McConnell's a rhino than the fact that he could be personally affected if the polio be against the polio vaccine being rescinded.
Jake, you've covered this era of politics better than anyone else I've seen. Please blast a shofar for Stepa, a sweet little chihuahua who listened to many hours of your show. Corey, Marissa, and I miss him. I know you understand grieving animal friends. Thanks a ton. This goes out to Chihuahua. Deep Seek Thoughts. Wait, sorry. It just popped out. Where did that go? Please let the people know. Please let people know the AMA has a YouTube and it provides updates about every other day. Oh, yes. The CDC has stopped providing updates, but the American Medical Association is now providing updates on stuff, and you can check it out on YouTube. Thank you for that. Punch Drunk Pulpit. The Dems are deploying the Homer Simpson boxing strategy, letting your opponent punch you until they tire themselves out. Here's Bernie Sanders. Fritchie is saying, Al Franken said it best, Sam. Dems are wussies and repugs are bullies. I mean, I guess there's a combination of cowardness on the Democratic side. I do think that part of it is donor-driven and part of it is ideological, but not ideological as a first-order issue. It is, they come from a culture that is of consultants. And so they listen to consultants and they have a consultant's worldview, which is, I'm not going to get involved where I can hurt myself. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm standing on the sidelines. And if there's an opportunity for me to affect things, I'll do it, but I'm not going to put myself on the line. That's fundamentally a consultant worldview.
Right.
And it just
it shows, it looks like weakness, which it is. I mean, that's the popularism, Matt Iglesias model that is being renewed. I would say it's rebranded. It's just Clinton style politics of centrism, but just going with what the poll testing says, as opposed to acting appropriately as a politician, like you have the ability to change the conversation, which is what the Republicans do all the time.
Here is Bernie Sanders, however, who has a slightly different perspective on these things.
Mr. President, in the midst of all of this, I think that now is the time to ask a very, very simple question, something I think that is on the minds of millions of Americans. What do Mr. Musk, Mr. Trump, and their fellow billionaires really want? Now, it's not really taking over Greenland or the Panama Canal, all that stuff. The real question is, what is their end game? What is their goal? What are they striving for? And in my view, the answer really is not complicated. It is not novel. It is not new. It is, in fact, exactly what ruling classes throughout history have always wanted and have always believed to be their right. And that is more power for themselves, more control for themselves, and more wealth for themselves. And in their pursuit of more power, more control, and more wealth, they are determined to not allow democracy and the rule of law to get in their way. For Mr. Musk and his fellow oligarchs, the needs, the concerns, the pain, the ideas, the dreams of ordinary people are simply an impediment to what they, the oligarchs, are entitled to. And that is really what they believe. They are entitled to all of the wealth and the power they have, and they are determined to stop anyone who gets in their way.
Sanders is going on a tour. I know he's going to Iowa City a week and a half from a week from tomorrow to go on this anti-oligarch tour. I mean, this is
going to districts that went from Biden to Trump, right? So Biden 2020, Trump 2024, right, which is what Democratic leadership should be doing.
Yes. But
Bernie Sanders has to step up here, and he does always.
I mean, this is important. This is it could have been said in a less defeatist tone, but as Hakeem Jeffrey said, they have no leverage. But the next thing is not. So what do we? Can't do anything. No, you can do stuff. You can make the loss that we are going to take, the loss of, cancer funding, the loss of help with heating or electricity or food or healthcare or the loss of jobs or the loss of job security. I mean, on and on. All of these things that the American public is losing. You can be out there finding different ways of making sure the American public knows who's to blame for this. And it's not just Elon Musk. It's the Republican Party. It's everybody that you're going to be running against.
Yep.
And I don't know why they can't seem to figure that out. Meanwhile, and I should also say, too, that Sanders' point is a pretty straightforward one. The reason why you destroy government is because government ultimately functions, and sometimes it can do a better job or a worse job, ultimately functions to curb corporate power, to curb the power of the wealthy and the elite. Now, our government has failed in a way that has made a lot of people out there sort of nihilistic and thinking the only way to curb the power of billionaires is to have other billionaires. But every agency that they're going after, in one form or another, inhibits the power of corporations.
Yep.
The reason why they fire the inspector generals of all these agencies is the people who are out there looking for fraud and waste in these agencies is because they're going in and they're destroying these agencies. They're not cutting out fraud. They're not cutting out waste. They're not doing an audit. They're trying to break these agencies.
Right. That and Musk in particular is doing a step further where Project 2025 and yes, like what the tech oligarchs want, they're working hand in hand. Musk is also rifling through the treasury, stealing people's personal information and looking at it as he does a deal with Visa to make X into a bank or a transaction service like Venmo. So he's both, destroying government to help the billionaires, and then in the process stealing from us for his own ends.
And understand, when Musk essentially shuts down the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, one of the functions that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau does, and this was an agency that got built in the wake of the financial crisis in 2008, because under the Clinton years, the relationship between investment banks and commercial banks was no longer a firewall there. We had Glass-Steagall back from the Depression days. That was basically to protect. I was saying, like, if you guys want to gamble with people's money, you can gamble with people's money, but you cannot use vanilla banking money
right
to gamble with, because that's when it becomes systemically problematic. And one of the things that Elon Musk will gain by destroying the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is there will not be any cops on the beat to say, hey, wait a second. These services you want to provide through your website are banking services. If you're going to provide banking services, you're going to be subject to the banking regulations that protect the people who use your banking services. Now, he doesn't want that. because that requires having capital requirements. That requires having people make sure that your systems are secure. That requires all sorts of regulation to protect consumers that he's not interested in because that cuts his costs.
Yep.
And then you see the flunkies and the idiots and the morons come out to defend him. Here is Dave Rubin sitting at a set wearing a nice suit purchased with probably the millions of dollars he received supposedly unwittingly from Russia.
Edward Gregorian.
Fake Edward Gregorian. Even Milo Yiannopoulos was laughing about this guy and also blowing the whistle on the right-wingers who get funded by billionaires to buy views and then fake it till they make it, as he said. But leaving that aside, here's Dave Rubin showing A, that he's just a shill, B, that he is also a moron, and C, he's an incredible, misogynistic pig. It's gross. He has to do this because he's got to compensate. Remember, he lost a huge chunk of his audience when he and his husband had surrogate children. And so he's got to compensate. How can he get back into the bro sphere?
The two. You know, it's interesting. These people on the left, they pray to the altar of the state. They love the state. They love the institutions. They love the programs, right? She loves rattling off numbers. We're going to cut this, that, the other thing. It doesn't mean that any of it's working. The irony is the lefties always tell you how horrible America is and how nothing works right and we should be more socialist and everything else. And yet, when we start looking at, okay, like if the general premise is, well, maybe something isn't quite right here, things aren't quite working right, we're going to clean it up. You see how hysterical they get when you go to clean it up. And the reason is they want power. Nobody wants children not to get food, but that doesn't mean that the programs
Pause it for a
that are giving
second.
food.
You know what? It's not so much that nobody wants people not to get children to get food, but there's a significant portion of people who are like, I don't care if they get food. That's their problem.
Yeah, I mean,
Survival of the fittest. It's not my job to pay taxes to feed other people's children. In fact, we just saw them cut a ton of U.S. aid. Literally, there's $500 million worth of food that is going to essentially rot on docks because of what they've cut. So it's not that they're like, well, we're trying to keep children from being fed, but are we withholding $500 million worth of food because we want to prove a point? Yeah. All right. Well, whatever. That's what it comes down to. Go ahead.
How hysterical they get when you go to clean it up. And the reason is they want power. Nobody wants children not to get food, but that doesn't mean that the programs that are giving food to the kids or after school programs, that any of it's being run properly. Again, we're just looking at the books, as I tweeted out this morning.
No, this is a total lie.
Yeah.
They're not just looking at the books. The inspector general, if they cared about auditing, they wouldn't have fired every inspector general that is working in these agencies. They are 100% not just looking at the books.
Right. Right.
It's just like a lie. It's just a total lie.
There are dozens of examples that you could come up with of the practical impacts that this has had, but they need this to just be online, liberal hysteria. Because if people start actually understanding what this means, it's an existential threat to this anti-government slop that he's feeding these just like baby birds in the audience.
Dave Rubin's audience must be just absolutely the dumbest human beings alive. Go ahead.
Food to the kids or after school programs, that any of it's being run properly. Again, we're just looking at the books. As I tweeted out this morning, if you were running a business, I run a couple businesses, right? If I'm running my businesses in the production company that runs Rubin Report, if I called my accountant this afternoon and I was like, can I see the books? I just want to see, I have X amount of employees, how much we're paying them, and we're doing this on overhead and equipment and travel. Can I just see the books? Because I want to see how much money we're making, and are there any places to tighten this up and spend a little bit better and blah, blah, blah. And my accountant was like, no, you can't see the books. Or the accountant was like, maybe next week. Or the accountant wasn't picking up the phone.
All right, this story is stupid. Go forward.
the-
Where's the part where he starts talking about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau?
Because Trump is shutting down the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. This is a bureau that she helped create back in 2011 to make sure that, people weren't being screwed over by banks. Again, the intentions, what is it with Democrats? The intentions are always good. Did the agency do anything? Is it functional? Is it a giant slush fund? Well, we're trying to figure that out. But she's very upset.
Pause it. Like, wait. Like, what do you mean we're trying to figure this out? Like, they've been operating in like a different kind of, like, they've been operating 60 miles down below the surface of the earth, and we're having to dig this out. The Republicans have controlled the House for 2 years. They've had hearing after hearing. We know exactly what the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has done.
Yes.
We know exactly what it's done. It has saved U.S. consumers $21 billion. That's the amount of compensation, principal reduction, canceled debts, other consumer relief from Consumer Financial Protection Bureau enforcement. They had just propagated a rule about banks cannot shift around payments out of your bank account to increase your overdraft fees.
Yeah.
They can't manipulate the order of when you have pulled money out of your bank to increase the amount of fees. They said your medical debt cannot be on your credit report to prevent you from getting a loan or from getting an apartment because you got hit by a bus one time. They have imposed civil money penalties on companies that violate the law. They have saved $6.1 billion worth of savings annually for consumers on overdraft stuff and insufficient fund fee policies.
It costs $800 million a year to fund this agency, and it has so far returned $21 billion to consumers
directly.
And if you want to use the business thing that he's trying to allude to here, I mean, gosh, it would be great if the government got a bunch of money out of nowhere from an Edward Gregorian, but all of this is transparent because it's for the public good. It's the government. It's not a private company. It's not the Twitter files. This is an X. We know where these things go. And we know that the CFPB, $800 million a year, $21 billion return to everyday people. And you know what you would call that if you were talking about it as a business anyway? Good return on investment.
And that doesn't even count the sort of indirect implications of people knowing, oh, there's a cop on the beat. We're not gonna go and break into this car, as it were. Continue. And wait with it. Remember, Dave Rubin's all about ideas. Listen if you hear one sort of like fact, other than the fact that Elizabeth Warren is a shrill woman.
Yeah, I just wanted
which he describes.
I wanted back a tiny bit just to see how he describes Elizabeth Warren here.
Yeah.
Let's jump over to Elizabeth Warren because she's an interesting lady. Now, she loves murdering babies. That's the main thing about her. She really
pause it.
loves
Oh, I'm sorry now. Wait a second. Is this guy getting all biblical? Is he now anti-abortion? Is that his big thing? She loves murdering babies? Excuse me. How many of those IVF in those, like when you guys had a surrogate mother, how many of those IVF conceptions were thrown out? Because it wasn't just two. I want to know. Dave Rubin's audience should be asking about this. If Dave Rubin is very concerned about abortion as an issue, and his audience knows that that life starts at conception, they should start digging into how many babies Dave Rubin has directly killed.
They should look into that.
I mean, what's good for the goose, right? Go ahead.
Babies. She also loves socialism. While she's worth about 60 mil herself, and I've seen her several times here in DC, and she wears these very, very expensive outfits and everything else. She is very concerned because Trump is shutting down the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. This is a bureau that she helped create back in 2011 to make sure that, people weren't being screwed over by banks. Again, the intentions, what is it with Democrats? The intentions are always good. Did the agency do anything? Is it functional? Is it a giant slush fund? Well, we're trying to figure that out. But she's very upset, and she thinks that Trump's doing it because Elon wants your money on the Twitter machine.
Elon Musk owns X, which has been losing money like crazy. So Elon has a plan for a new payment platform called X Money. Elon wants X Money to touch every part of your financial life. But Elon has got a problem. The financial cops. The CFPB is there to make sure that Elon's new project can't scam you or steal your sensitive personal data. So Elon's solution, get rid of the cops, kill the CFPB. This is like a bank robber trying to fire the cops and turn off the alarms just before he strolls into the lobby.
Pause it for a second. Yeah, pause it for a second. Not a single thing that she said was incorrect, and he will not refute a single one of those things. Yes, Elon Musk has lost a tremendous amount of money, or his investors' money in X, however you want to decide that. Was it worth it to him? Well, it got a president elected, and his net worth is increased. Does he want to turn X into a banking style payment platform? 100%. Is he attacking and dismantling the agency that would regulate said platform? 100%. Now watch,
well,
Dave's going to give us a really good explanation.
But this is how you know he's that dumb, is that he played those comments in full.
Yes, exactly. He didn't even know. He's too stupid to realize he's got to take these out of context or people are going to figure out. I mean, he's banking, no pun intended, on the complete idiocy of his audience.
Okay, here we go.
First what a bitch.
Off, no one is forcing anyone to be on X or Twitter. Now, is it possible?
That's not what she said.
Pause it. No one's forcing anybody to go into any bank, but do you want that bank to have no regulation? Oh, I'm going into the bank that has no regulations. And do you think that people know? Do you think that people know, your average person knows to what extent what is regulated and what is not? No, there's a broad assumption. You just assume, hey, when I buy this, this drink at the Piggly Wiggly, I'm assuming that it's not going to give me botulism because there's somebody who's making sure that you're not supposed to package botulism. So now his argument is, well, if you don't have to be on X. It's just you. Caveat emptor. Give me a break. What a lame thing to say. Go back a little bit so we can hear the entirety of his lameness.
Okay, here we go. First off, no one is forcing anyone to be on X or Twitter. Now, is it possible that Elon's working on a payment system within X? It certainly is possible.
He is
at it before, but no one's forcing you to be on it. You can still have your Bitcoin.
No one said that.
I don't know, US dollars. You can still do commerce freely. But if what you're really saying here, lady, is that Elon Musk bought Twitter, something that was losing money, got into the fight with free speech, lost all his old friends, had to move his businesses out of California because of Gavin Newsom once he was supporting Donald Trump, did all of that so that somehow he could skirt your financial regulations and get everyone to buy things. Like, it's just so profoundly absurd. What you don't like, Elizabeth.
Okay.
Did he listen to the clip?
Yeah, maybe he doesn't. Maybe somebody else puts the clip up there and he just comes out with his. He is not addressing a single thing she said. She's not saying that he had this whole grand master plan. She said right now he's dismantling the agency that would inhibit his ability to rip people off or to operate a bank without any regulation. He's not going to address it.
And Andreessen was bringing her up, calling it her personal agency on Joe Rogan, too. The right can't spell out the acronym Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and then try to make your argument without mentioning Elizabeth Warren's name. Because what they are trying to do is throw a bunch of misogyny at their audience because they don't like hearing Elizabeth Warren's voice and she's a little too opinionated and gosh, we can pick it apart. That's what they're trying to do. Hiding behind the misogynistic feelings.
I can't imagine that. Go ahead.
He could skirt your financial regulations and get everyone to buy things. Like, it's just so profoundly absurd. What you don't like, Elizabeth Warren, is that he is creating things. He is building things. And you, as a millionaire socialist, you want to lock everyone into the system that has been pretty damn good for you. But we can all see through it now. So you've got nothing left other than hysteria, right? That's it. By the way, I don't know if you guys know this, but we're all walking around with a phone in our hand, right? And our phone in our pocket. And we all have computers and laptops and iPads and everything else. The world is going more digital. So we will start figuring out new ways to have commerce with each other. The reason they don't want digital wallets and why they hate Bitcoin, of course, is that that's peer-to-peer. That means if you buy something from me and we do this digitally, I can just send you digital currency and it has nothing to do with the government. And then, Elizabeth, you're out of a job. We see you, you crazy fake Indian bitch. Let's jump over to
there you go. Okay. And look at you. You thought it was all about misogyny, but it was also about none of what he said has anything to do with it. First of all, she's not out of a job if there's digital currency.
She doesn't run it. Obama blocked her from running it. Remember?
He's such a moron. But the amazing thing is, it's just like his entire shtick must be, we'll put up Elizabeth Warren. I know people don't like her. I'm going to be able to call her a bitch. And then that's how I'm going to get my bona fides.
Did you guys, were you thinking about the fact that I'm a gay man? Well, I could be a misogynist as a gay man.
Of course. And listen, just in case you think that my whole IVF thing means that I'm not with you on the whole abortion thing, I'm going to put that in there too. Wow, it's so naked.
Yeah.
It really is so naked.
He didn't respond to anything she said and then called her a bitch. I mean, it's like you can't write this stuff.
When you see the desperation of a guy who lost his, obviously Gregorian was punching his meal ticket. I mean, that's when someone dumps, $2 or $3 million into your business, $4 million a year annually for doing nothing. You get used to that money.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, well, maybe we should just have a paper backdrop. That might be, let's just get a fake plant and a paper backdrop.
Downsizing.
Do we have time for this or do you got to go?
No, I can. Sam and I are actually doing an interview. I think we're doing this right with
Nathan
Robinson. So, but we can't do it in the same room because it echoes. So I got to run back to my apartment. Yeah, I can go at like 2:40. I think I can still make it. Yeah.
All right, let's do this. This is. We should do 16, then 17. Is that it? Yeah. Credit where credit's due. That's what this
segment's about.
This segment's about. As you know, we have been talking about Project 2025 for, I don't know, probably a year at this point. And it has been accelerated by the entry in whatever it was, June or July or August, of the crypto tech bros, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Andreessen et al., who also had a similarly aligned incentive structure to attack the federal government. Look, Steve Bannon said this in 2017 at CPAC, maybe in February of 2017. Our agenda is to destroy the administrative state. Republicans have always done that. You can go back to, Rick Perry Ding Dong. I'm going to get rid of 3 government agencies. And he couldn't remember which one it was, but it was so part of the Republican ideology. And at the end of the first Trump administration, Russell Vought, as OMB director, had essentially hatched this plot, which they weren't able to basically put into place, but to get rid of civil servants, career people working at agencies with political appointees. Schedule F was the categorization of these workers.
And then Biden rescinded that, and then Trump, I think, now has put it back in place, right, upon coming back into office.
Yes. And this has been out there.
Vogt talked about traumatizing federal workers.
And he and Vogt worked for an outfit. He was doing this in conjunction with the Heritage Society, but he was
Heritage Foundation.
Heritage Foundation.
His think tank was called the Center for Renewing America.
Center for Renewing America. That was basically the Trump administration in exile. All right. So here is a clip from the Vanguard about people who were in Project 2025 denial.
So if you just type in TYT Project 2025, beautifully, the first search result, Trump's plan is not Project 2025. Who could believe it? That's crazy. Let's take a quick look and see exactly, what Anna had to say in this clip. Then we're going to take a look at one more.
So I totally believe this reporting. I think this is actually accurate reporting. And if reporters didn't just serve as stenographers for the Democratic Party, they would have maybe found out there's a different think tank that literally has the same slogan as Donald Trump, and they might have reported on that ahead of time instead, but they didn't. Go ahead,
and
Jake.
his top staffers were connected to it, including Kellyanne.
So this video is about how there's another plan that's, way less concerning than Project 2025. That, all these liberals and mainstream media and all these Democrats, they're freaking out and they want to fear monger about Project 2025. But in reality, there's this other one that like Kellyanne Conway is behind or something. And it's way less scary. It's way less scary. Actually, if Trump gets into power, it might not even be that dramatic at all. It's probably just going to be like any other Republican administration, right?
Yeah, I remember we reacted to this at the same time. And to Cenk's credit, this was before he had gone so soft on MAGA. He's actually pushing back on her from what I remember in this clip.
No, he's not. No? This one, he's not. There were other ones where he did. And this one, no, he goes on to say, yep, this is the real plan. I think we can watch him say that right here.
Conway, et cetera. So these guys are definitely in charge. And one of the Trump staffers on his campaign team said, they're not the transition team, but they kind of are. They said, he said, in effect, they are. Because we didn't have time to plan it. And here's a hilarious part of the story before I get to the worst part of the story. They said Trump is superstitious, so he didn't want to talk about a transition team at all before he won, which then greatly delays them.
Either way, that's the main part of that one.
First off, I didn't know. We hadn't played that last part. Any 5 minutes worth of reporting beforehand knew that Russell Vogt and the Heritage Foundation was literally building a dossier. I mean, we saw ads. They were literally like the Coalition Provisional Authority going into Iraq. We saw ads of them saying come in and apply. We need to check all your social media to make sure that you are a loyalist. We're putting you in a file. We'll contact you after. The idea that
in October, right? ProPublica released a video, and the quote was, "We want the bureaucrats to be traumatically affected. When they wake up in the morning, when we want them to not want to go to work because they are increasingly viewed as the villains. We want their funding to be shut down. We want to put them in trauma." So that, in conjunction with the fact that Vogt had previously worked in the Trump administration, and that Project 2025 was authored by over 100 people who had previously worked in the Trump administration, should probably give you an indication that they were very serious about implementing this. And then remember Matt Walsh, MAGA troll, after the election? We don't need to pull it up. People can find it. But he said oh, here it is. Thank you, Bradley. Quick on the trigger here. Now that the election is over, I think we can finally say that, actually Project 2025 is the agenda.
Of course.
LOL. Because we know that that's how Republicans operate. They have no problem lying about things like this.
So some folks were shaming people, literally shaming people, saying you're dupes. You have Trump derangement syndrome for believing this. Blah, blah, blah. I know some people after the election were like, I'm happy that Trump is coming in and going to stir things up, whatever.
Eek.
But the point of this is credit where credit's due. Granted, it's behind a paywall, but according to the Vanguard, people have admitted that they made a mistake.
All right, back on TYT. Cenk and Anna with you guys. More news.
So I just want to address something. I was wrong about Project 2025. MAGA hates Project 2025, and I thought that Donald Trump actually cared about his base because in his first term, he seemed to be swayed by his base. He seemed to listen to his base.
Wait a second. Wait. MAGA hates Project 2025?
Where's the evidence of that?
What? What is this MAGA that they speak of? What is this? Make America Great hates Project 2025? Every single person involved in Project 2025 are the most Make America Great people there are. Like what is this whole idea that that this is a betrayal of Donald Trump? This is what Donald Trump ran on. They were talking about destruction of the administrative state in 2017. Schedule F was released in 2020 as he went out the door.
Right.
He's walking around with RFK who's saying we're going to get rid of all these agencies. We're going to get rid of the NIH. We're going to get rid of the CDC. We're going to get rid of all these agencies. They're walking around to all their people. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I mean, all of it. Well, like a MAGA hates it. MAGA might not like Elon Musk because he's the least charismatic person in the world. But where is this evidence that MAGA hates what?
I thought we were giving credit.
No, I know. Well, I was giving credit for the but I didn't realize that part.
No, it's okay. I mean, I understand. I would say that downplaying the effects of Project 2025 prior to the election, as clearly they were engaging in, even as they were advertising themselves as a progressive network, is deeply shameful because we now see the effects of Project 2025 in real time, which includes cutting off, as you said, your friend that works in cancer research, 40% cut to that kind of funding. And these are the kind of things that we're going to see all across the country.
MAGA may hate, like the rest of America, the implications of these cuts.
Yes.
But not if we pretend that this was like, who knew?
Right. They would hate they're going to hate the implications because it's going to cause pain. And that's why it's incumbent upon media organizations to tell people prior to the election that this is going to cause pain when they implement it.
Like literally.
Yeah.
The condescension that was leveled at people who were taking this seriously, as if it was some type of conspiracy theory, like as if like the Heritage Foundation and the former OMB, who is clearly going to be the new OMB, it's a conspiracy that they spent months and months and years and millions of dollars drawing up a 150-page or 900-page document, whatever it was, and outlining exactly what they were going to do and bringing people in so they would have binders full of people. I mean, but at least dawn lights on Marblehead, although it seems to light, sometime around sunset.
Yeah.
And also now to say, like, this is not what MAGA want. Like, give me a break. Give me a frickin' break.
Go ahead, Bradley. Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to add. Do you guys remember that Russ Vought video where he was recorded undercover?
Yes, he was secretly recorded by some British journalist who came in. He goes, "Trump is distancing, but we're not worried about it."
Right, exactly.
Right.
So I wonder if they saw that, but maybe not. I don't know.
Do we want to play the rest of this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because in his first term, he seemed to be swayed by his base. He seemed to listen to his base. This time around, not so much. So Russell Vought, as the head of the Office of Management and Budget, and considering what he just did with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, makes it abundantly clear to me that they are implementing Project 2025. So I will admit when I'm wrong, I was wrong. I totally predicted incorrectly what would happen with Project 2025.
Oh, pause it. No, it's not. And I appreciate the Vanguard for doing this. Again,
Yeah,
it
good
is
job,
not.
guys.
It is not the prediction. People make predictions all the time.
Right. I was wrong in my prediction about the election,
this
but
is not making
yeah,
like
right.
some type of
right.
Polymarket bet here. on
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
Where
That's
the outcome
gambling mindset.
we can't tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was abundance amount of evidence of this. And even if your opinion, not prediction, opinion was, I can't see them doing this. This is pretty radical. The idea that you would mock people for believing it and saying it was a conspiracy theory. The people had Trump derangement syndrome. I'm sorry. Give me a break. But at least we can acknowledge what's actually ongoing.
Yes.
And I would recommend this go into the free part of their show so that their audience can know about it.
And emphasizing it. And, I will say, as long as people are issuing corrections, there was a claim made that we took money from the Kamala Harris campaign for our show. Now, that never happened. We've clarified that. It's laughable.
Whoa. We don't
Wait,
know.
actually.
We're still
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
investigating.
There's a deadline on this Polymarket bet. I think, but you can... I'm sorry. Okay. So there's on Polymarket, you can gamble with crypto about whether or not Kamala bought ads on the Majority Report. Somebody bought a good amount of it.
Can we bet on this? Or do you have to be outside of America to bet on this?
I don't think it's legal in the United States, but somebody I think placed a bet. Can you scroll down to the holders, Bradley? There's some folks that first of all, so here it is, the rules. We can go to the rules, show more for the rules. On February 3rd, Anna Kasparian asserted that Kamala Harris bought ads on the Majority Report during her 2024 presidential campaign. This market will resolve to yes if a consensus of credible reporting and or disclosures from Kamala Harris's campaign or the Majority Report proves that Kamala Harris bought ads on the Majority Report during her blah, blah, blah. Otherwise, this market will resolve to no. Only direct purchases made by the campaign itself will count. Ads purchased by associated political action committees, super PACs, or other third-party organizations that are not directly a part of Kamala Harris's official campaign will not count. So, but
Now,
March 31st deadline, I think.
Now, hold on for a second.
Yeah.
See, I have some questions here.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. First off, let me just say, we have never had any ads purchased by associated political action committees, PACs, super PACs, or any other third-party organization that are not directly part of Kamala Harris' official campaign. So that we can put out. That doesn't count.
Mm-hmm.
It says the market will resolve to a yes consensus if there's credible reporting and or disclosures from Harris's campaign or the Majority Report that proves that Harris bought ads on the Majority Report. Now, this is an ethical dilemma for us.
Yeah.
Because we have stated publicly that it absolutely is not the case that Kamala Harris or anybody else purchased ads in favor of Kamala Harris. In fact, whenever we have an ad, you know who paid for the ad because it is literally the company that we're advertising for.
Yeah, we read their name.
We have never, ever taken money.
Secret ads kind of like, how does that work?
Well, it's not inconceivable that the Harris campaign could say, like, we're going to pay the Majority Report $50,000 and we just want positive coverage.
Right.
We don't do that. There is nobody who's ever paid into the show, no entity. We have members, but nobody who's ever paid into the show outside of the membership tiers that you see on our page that we have not disclosed in the course of advertising. So, like you may say like, hey, I don't think it's appropriate for you to, push bidets on us.
Right.
But you are aware that we're doing that. And because, Hello Tushy paid us. Okay. It's not like we're out there going, bidets are great. And we got a secret payment from Hello Tushy.
Right.
We're promoting. Now, I happen to think bidets are great. And I would have said that.
Oh, we know.
But that's my point. But here's the thing. We have the ability to manipulate, it seems to me, how that's resolved, whether it's yes or no.
Yeah, that's my question about this. Like, is this doesn't seem particularly ethical. I know Polymarket has purchased the rights to TYT's studio live from the Polymarket studios now, they say, basically on their broadcast. But you can just basically put a false claim on this crypto betting site that's not legal in the United States, and people can bet yes or no. And what's like the due diligence that this site has in terms of like, you could,
if I wanted to make a lot of money,
you could make a claim, put it on there.
Couldn't I bet on the yes?
Yes.
It's 9 cents per share.
Right. It's gone
96.
down. Right.
Okay. It's only 9 cents per share. I could buy, I don't know, 100 of these things.
Look, go down,
for less than
scroll to the
$1,000.
holders.
Right,
They're top holders. You can see here. There's somebody who bought 450 shares of Yes.
But that's not even 450. That's like $45.
Okay.
And I could buy.
But they may have bought it at a higher point.
I could go in and buy 1,000 shares at 9 cents.
Yeah.
And then on March 31st or 30th, we could come out and say, yes, we did sell ads to Kamala Harris. And in fact, we aired it just at, 12:31 or, whatever, 2:31. And then we get the money. And then the next day we could say, just kidding.
Yeah.
In fact, April 1st, April Fools.
April Fools.
Like, couldn't we do that? Like, what, how does this work? Can someone write in and let us know on what protection there is for people? Because we can mess with this. I'm telling you folks right now at Polymarket, we're going to decide whether or not we put out proof of this.
Oh, I mean, guys, don't do this kind of thing.
Guess who's going to come in on April 1st?
Yeah.
Wearing a sweet-ass fur coat.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of bling. Get into my Bugatti and drive down here.
You'll finally be a high-value man.
My Bugatti from Polymarket.
Just want to credit our intern Isaac for his eagle eye and spotting.
Oh,
this.
yes, Isaac. Credit to Isaac. Who
Thank you.
We didn't know about this until he texted us the link yesterday.
This was a great spot.
Yeah.
Huge pump and dump. We're going to get ready for this.
20-minute pump and dumps.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I wish you didn't have to go there.
It's going to be.
Excuse me?
That was your choice.
That's going to be.
Folks.
All right, I got to go.
That's going to be our merch.
Emma's going to leave. I'm going to read
shot.
5 IMs, and then we're going to get out of here.
Yeah. See you guys. Have a good weekend. Check us out on Nathan Robinson's show.
Yeah, I don't know what. We'll see what hopefully. He hasn't sent. He hasn't even sent a link. Oh, what's going on with that? I think it's today. I doubt the governor will remove Adams, says Dave from Jamaica. One thing about Democratic leadership, they tend not to act unless they're in the crosshairs. Really cool. Working family parties is a party line, but you don't register for it as a party. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You don't have to, but you can. Some people do. Jerry at the beach. Did my grocery shopping last night, and I was $159. Trumpflation. I know, we got to get some militant apathy. Kennedy proves he's the DEI guy. Dude literally was shooting up heroin, making bird smoothies, and eating baby bears. Has no medical degree and was still confirmed. Yes. Dave from regular Estonia. Hey, I'm bribing over here. Doesn't mean in the matter of, not regarding? Isn't that the same thing? Vermont Ben. My uncle is the IG for the Federal Housing Financial Agency. He told me he hasn't been fired yet, but he believes it's definitely coming. They do not care about finding waste. If they did, they would empower IGs, not fire them. Dave Rubin might be the dumbest person in the political commentary space. I'm stupefied by how much his brain is turned to mud. Mike from Texas. I'm old enough to remember Inauguration Day 2009 when Mitch walked down to the Heritage Institute to talk to them about their plans for the days ahead. That's where he said our only one goal for the next 4 years would be to make Obama a one-term president. That was literally on the day Obama was inaugurated. Compare that to the Democratic response today. Jay Tingle. Are you guys going to mention the Nomiki Konst news? It was featured in the New York Post. No. I mean, if people are interested, they can Google to get the TMZ update. And it's not terribly relevant to me. Circus in town. Congrats, Emma, on getting married on Trump's birthday. There are no mistakes. Hogtown. Putting money down on the Washington Generals on Polymarket. I ought to make a lot of money off of that. I got to figure out how that thing works. Bullprog. Prosecutors dropped the case against McMahon's sex abuse scandal this morning. Of course. Amazing. Amazing level of corruption. Noel from San Fran. Presidents can issue pardons. Now apparently they can issue parole. Indeed. NLRB worker. Oh, yeah, I already did that one. Phineas Herb. As long as the left continues to beg Dems to better represent polling, package criticism as bad at messaging, bad at politics, too adherent to respectability, they're doing the work of the DNC. I don't follow that. That is obfuscating the real problem. They are professional fundraisers with an allegiance to donors. Many of them are, indeed. I am, the idea that they don't feel pressure from their constituents is belied by the fact that they're complaining about pressure from their constituents. Now, they may not do anything about it. They certainly are going and still raising money from the tech bros and the crypto bros. At least a lot of them are. But your critique does not lend itself to any alternative plan. The reason why I push Democrats to do better is because it empowers the better Democrats. It marginally may move existing Democrats. It heightens the contradictions that exist within the Democratic Party and perhaps end up getting those Democrats replaced. And there is an absence, this is not a mutually exclusive project. We're very clear on telling people to organize as tenants, organize in the context of the DSA, organize as labor, of course. But as a political, purely like a political representation manner, at least on a national level, there's no other options. There simply isn't. How is it possible that there isn't a Green Party congressperson? They've been doing this for almost 35 years. They'll have a congressperson? I would love it if there was. I would love it if there was a half dozen Green Party congresspeople. But you have a national party that is convinced that their only purpose is to run a meaningless campaign for president every 4 years, and then they go away. Go into the witness protection program or something. Sam from Ottawa. Curious in your guys' opinion on us Canadians booing your anthem prior to the hockey land. All for it. I took that as a response to the actions of our government. It's good for Americans to understand that there's implications to the way that we act within the world. Even if those are tiny, tiny, tiny ones. Jody from Chicago. My friend said Delia Ramirez from Illinois is sending out emails and letters to her constituents, updating them about Musk's takeover. Good. Five more. Zach. Hey, Sam et al. Could you please explain what the donor class is? I hear leftists condemning the donor class, but what do they mean? If it's billionaires, why don't we say that? Well, it's not just billionaires. It can be, 100 millionaires. The idea is that there are networks of people who either give huge amounts of money or bundle huge amounts of money. And because fundraising is such a big part of what lawmakers do, these people are, whales. They go to them and they can get half their fundraising done, as opposed to soliciting small donors. But Sanders has shown that you can do this. You can solicit small donors and stay competitive financially. Some, I think, Democrats ideologically are just against that. They don't want to be beholden to the people. Some, I think, maybe find it harder to do. Some may not be aware that there's an opportunity for them to do this. I don't know how the percentages break down, but those are the different sides there. We'll give info on the interview. I haven't heard anything. I don't know what happened. Golden Oyster Cult. Hakeem Jeffries was just on CNN calling the SDNY resignations troubling. To be fair, it's hard to learn how to be effectively partisan when you're so busy washing the taste of Silicon Valley billionaires' boots out of your mouth. That's just stunning. Eli from Jersey. Jubilee of one guy versus 25 Dave Rubin fans, and it's just a bunch of swastikas tied to folding chairs. All right, 3 more of these. Anti-rocker. It's the Gulf of Freedom fries, I think. Top Herky. Sam, please, us leftists need a rug pull. Let's do this. JK. El Conniption. Did you guys not know Bill de Blasio's romantic partner is on your Fun Half song? And the final I am of the week. Holy cow. WTF Cody. It's sickening how obvious it is that you all work for Big Bidet Inc. Why do you continue to slander toilet paper? Suspicious. Bradley, Matt, Emma. Great job this week. Folks, we'll see you Monday.